As I sat down to do this review, it occurred to me that I've been playing first-person shooters for 20 years, starting with Wolfenstein 3D in 1992. Looking back on those 2 decades, it amazes me how, for every advancement in graphics, sound, weaponry, complexity, and story writing, the multiplayer aspect, which began with Doom, has consistently held the genre back from reaching its true potential. No other series epitomizes that fucking malaise better than the Call of Duty franchise, the true John Madden football of the first-person shooter genre, and of them all, Modern Warfare 3 is the worst of the bunch, and stands as a symbol of what happens when developers just start phoning it in every 2 years. With Colonel Shepard dead, the game picks up where Modern Warfare 2 left off, continuing the search for the maniacal Russian terrorist Makarov, who wants to start World War III between the US and Russia because, hell, that's what evil Russian terrorists do. You spend the majority of the game playing as either former Spetsnaz soldier Yuri or Frost, a Delta Force operative. The storyline spans the globe between these two characters, told mostly in compressed DVD quality cutscenes, because that's the best that the 360 can do, that are little more than pictures of maps and mugshots with voice-over narration. This does nothing to bring the gamer into the story, which isn't helped at all by the fact that the writing itself is so bland and goddamn generic that most gamers who even bother with the campaign are going to skip over that shit anyway. And they won't be missing much, to tell the truth, since it seems the levels were picked first and then the story was crafted around them, resulting in a script that's cobbled together from equal parts Tom Clancy, Robert Ludlum, and Michael fucking Bay, best exhibited by the fact that every single chapter involves some huge climactic fall from a high point or a goddamn massive explosion. The split lead format of the story also inhibits the player from relating to the characters they're playing as, especially when you have levels where you don't even play as those two characters. You take on the role of a Russian operative guarding the Russian president, and in the last level of the damn game, you play as Captain Price, the resident limey who helped you kill Colonel Shepard in the previous title. Let me repeat that. The two main characters you play as, you don't even get to finish the game as either one. In essence, the campaign is one long game of follow the leader. In every mission, you have one single direct path that takes you from point A to point B to point C, each with a fellow soldier or operative leading the way, holding your hand, with the word follow floating above his fucking head. Add to that the fact that the battles play out the same every time, with the enemies located in the same damn place every time, and what you end up with is a gameplay experience so simplistic and linear that it practically plays like an arcade-style on-rails shooter. There are several game mechanics thrown in here and there to try and break up the monotonous railgunning and trick the player into thinking they're not experiencing the most boring campaign since John McCain ran for president. You have helicopter battles, overhead bombing runs, remote-controlled tank missions, car chases, stealth missions where you follow the leader some more and spend a good deal of it on your belly staring at your partner's balls, and even a boat mission where you're still just following the lead boat with that wonderful follow tag floating above it, making the experience no more interactive than a game of Road Avenger on the Sega fucking CD. There are a decent number of guns, but none of them struck me as being any more effective than the other, not including sniper rifles and rocket launchers, of course. They all feel more or less the same, the only difference being reload frequency and speed, none of which really matter much since the enemies are always in the same place, so once you memorize the level, it's a damn cakewalk. The controls are responsive enough, but the snap-on auto-aiming detracts from the experience. Aim in the general direction of a bad guy, hold down the left shoulder button, and your sight will quickly snap right onto the target, which is fine for beginners, but I found it to be more annoying than anything else, and added to the lame-ass shooting gallery feel of the gameplay, except of course when there are two enemies in close proximity of each other, then it's a 50-50 shot at you aiming on one of the two, or the sight ends up lining up between them and you don't hit jack fucking shit. And what makes matters worse, this auto-aim bullshit is a mechanic that's now being copied by other titles, Killzone 3 being one that comes to memory. The music is well produced, but is nothing you're going to remember once the game is over. It's typical, generic Hollywood summer blockbuster orchestrated bullshit. The voice acting really perplexes me, since you had established actors like Idris Elba and Timothy Olyphant, but their characters, Truck and Grinch, are so goddamn dry and their dialogue so forgettable that you don't even notice who's playing either one of these until the closing credits roll. I didn't even know these two guys were in this fucking game. The graphics are in 720p at 60 frames per second, for the most part. To maintain that kind of frame rate on a console, the textures and models look like well-animated shit. I saw texture pop in, hands that looked like leather gloves, and despite all of this, the frame rate still stutters, and even worse, sometimes stops altogether for a half to 1 second. Call me crazy, but since the game plays like a movie anyway, I'd rather it run at 30 frames per second and have textures and effects that don't look like complete ass. So you're chasing Makarov here, there, and everywhere. You get into a gunfight on a submarine. Here, where have we seen that before? We see fast-paced gunfights up and down the corridors and across the rooftops of high-rise buildings. Where have I seen that before? We see the Eiffel Tower blown up. Now, where have I seen that before? And we even get into a gunfight on a jumbo jet. Now, where have I seen that before? Let me tell you something, folks. You know you're really out of fresh ideas when you start ripping off of, yourself. In several of these battles, it's the same thing over and over again. You've got a fix on Makarov based on some bullshit intelligence you've picked up. You head in there and lay waste to the bad guys, and then, oh, so sorry, Sergeant Mario, your Russian terrorist is in another castle. This really makes it feel like the developers were just trying to stretch the game out, which is really fucking mind-boggling because on my first run on normal difficulty, I made it through the entire campaign in 4 hours and 58 minutes, and that was watching all of the cutscenes, and I got killed a few times blindsided because I didn't know where the enemies were going to be. Now that I know where all the enemy placements are, I could probably get through it all in 4.5 hours or less. $60 for a 4.5 hour campaign. That means the game is only twice as long as Journey. Think about that a minute. Journey! Now, of course, Fraghead Call of Duty loyalists will say, the campaign is supposed to be short, because most of the development time went into the multiplayer. Well, if that's so, why does the multiplayer suck so much hot, rotten ass? Gone are the days where I will spend hours racking up frags. This is true. But I know garbage when I fucking play it. And not only does the multiplayer in Modern Warfare 3 play almost exactly like it did in the previous title, but it still sucks harder than a third world country hooker who's out of crystal meth. It's not so much that the mechanics themselves suck, since it's essentially the same style of multiplayer that PC gamers have been enjoying for 10 damn years. It's the performance and the people playing it who suck. I've said it time and again, multiplayer can never be as fully rewarding as the single-player campaign or story-driven co-op because the game is only as good, ultimately, as the people you are playing with. And this game is completely infected with dumbass campers and grenade spawners. The first few matches I had, it was rare for me to go more than 20 feet without getting picked off by some asshole 100 feet away lying prone with a sniper rifle, or getting my ass blown all to hell the minute I spawned by a randomly thrown grenade or a missile barrage. Now, once I got acclimated to the maps, this lessened somewhat, only for me to be happening across idiots like this one. Look at this straight dumbass. I ran right up to this motherfucker and he just sat there staring through his scope, waiting for someone to run up the stairs for an easy kill. Fucking lamer, and the game is full of assholes just like this one. And then I'd have issues with game lag, where I'd have a guy right in my scope, blasting bullets into him like nobody's business, and he'd one-shot kill me. And the replay would show me aiming 3 feet to his fucking right when I had him right in my damn crosshairs. What the hell is up with that shit? You've got several play modes, with a section specifically for high-level and or highly experienced players, capture the flag, survival modes, team and single deathmatch, the usual stuff. But what makes this the shooter that noobs flock to is the leveling system. This game gives you piles of experience, no matter how much ass you suck. 100 points here, 200 points there, 600 points for a double kill, match bonuses even if your team loses the damn match. Hell, I went up 5 levels in under an hour. And you'll need it too, because the matchmaking is fucking ass. It may be different on the 360, I can't comment on that, but on the PS3 version, the matchmaking is fucking ass. I was a level 1 starting my very first match, and I got thrown in with guys who were all 70s and 80s. Listen up, PlayStation 3 haters. Say what you will about that Ghost Town piece of shit Mag, and take my word for it, that game really sucks. But you know what? Mag makes you work for every tiny little scrap of experience you get. I got to level 5 in Modern Warfare 3 in about 45 minutes. In Mag, it took me over a week. Modern Warfare 3 is the living embodiment of everything that is wrong with the gaming industry today. It is a completely paint-by-numbers, corporate-approved, forgettable, derivative, repetitive, phoned-in, half-ass noob shooter that lacks the scope of games like Borderlands and the heart and emotional resonance of games like BioShock, with no ambition to ever be anything more than it already is and already has been, because just like Madden, its fan base will trip over its own balls to buy anything Infinity Ward or Treyarch defecates onto game store shelves, and that's why I'm giving Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 a big steaming pile of dog shit out of 7. What the fuck is this shit? Balls of Duty Modern Taintware 3? Thank Christ I didn't pay for this disc of fucking fail.